Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We are presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here as we are going to be going through the Week 9 slate of the Big Ten and going through the most impressive part of each win in Week 9. 7 games, 7 different impressive things that we're going to point out. I guess 14 if you multiply it by 2, since Zach and I each have our own, but it's going to be a good time, and we really look forward to this with you guys. Now, we're going to bring Zach in, and I do want to, before we really get into it, reference the sad passing of one Nick Mangold, former center, all in the Ring of Honor for the New York Jets. He also played at Ohio State as center there. Very, very sad passing. He had a kidney disease that, really, it took his life, and it's very sad that happened. Zach, do you have any thoughts on the passing of Nick Mangold?
I mean, it was shocking. 12 days ago, he was posting on social media asking for someone to potentially donate a kidney. And so I just assumed, there's help on the way, hopefully. And then 12 days is not a long time for him to then pass. So it's really sad. You know, he was part of a number of teams that really got me into college football, right? Like I really got into college football in 2001 with the Jim Tressel, speech. Like, you'll be proud of our young men in the classroom, in the community, and 310 days in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And Nick Mangold came in 2002, and I mean, he was playing big minutes, I think, even in his freshman season. And I mean, he was a heck of a player from all accounts, an even better person. Rex Ryan got emotional about talking about it. Of course, he played for Rex Ryan and the New York Jets, 7-time Pro Bowler. The Jets community loved him. The Ohio State community loved him. So it's just sad, man. He's 41. Like, I'm 39. It's crazy to me just how quick, 12 days ago we hear about his need, and then he's gone. So it's just a reminder, like, life is a vapor. And it's a bummer. Prayers go up to his family and to everyone who was touched by him. So it's just sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Prayers to the Mangold family and everybody that was close with him and cared about him so deeply. Rest in peace for sure, Faye. Thank you for that. Billy Tuesday says prayers to Nick and his family for sure. So just wanted to reference that at the beginning. Not gonna make the entire show about it or anything, but if you are an Ohio State fan, I'm sure you are feeling some amount of sadness because you probably grew up watching Nick Mangold or saw highlights of him and knew of him. But on another note, we had Brian Kelly get fired today, Zach, and that was very, very interesting to say the least. I think going into this season, I thought, okay, people aren't going to start firing their coaches as much because with revenue sharing, you're going to want to kind of save the money and go through some of this stuff. And then now we have seen multiple high-level buyout coaches get fired, and it's like, well, that was the wrong take, apparently, because LSU is open, Florida is open, Penn State is open right now. You would think that Wisconsin might be open by the end of the year because, even if the athletic director wants to keep Luke Fickell, the Wisconsin might not want to keep the athletic director around. So a bunch of different stuff going on. Michigan State might come open as well. A bunch of different stuff going on with everything in college football. What are your thoughts on the firing of Brian Kelly, Zach?
I think Notre Dame fans are happy. I think that everything about him going to LSU felt so phony, and he just he's been a good coach. I was saying to you off camera or off air that I don't want him anywhere near a Big Ten program. He was a good coach.
You get ready. It's a Big Ten program's going to call him.
It's coming. It's Wisconsin, Michigan State. Just please not Penn State.
I don't think
please
Penn
not
State
Penn State. That would be terrible. I could probably hear Brian Kelly yell all the way from my house if he goes to Penn State, and I'm an hour and 15 away. But I think the thing that told me from the beginning this wasn't going to work was when he tried the phony accent. He's like trying to fit in with the culture, and it's like, dude, that's not how you do it.
Yeah. I don't get why when you're a Southern school like that, you go out and hire some of these Northern guys. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would the Bayou, LSU, why would they go and try to hire a Northern, Notre Dame coach? Like Notre Dame and LSU could not be more different. And you're going out and try to hire him. Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. I mean, it looks like things are better for them this season, but I still don't fully believe in that. Lane Kiffin is the guy that makes sense for all this, SEC stuff out there. I don't get it. I don't get why.
To be fair, Nick Saban was a Big Ten guy. That worked.
Yeah, I would say recruiting was a little bit different back then than what it is today. So that makes it a little different, but sure.
Yeah, but I mean, also, to be fair, Nick Saban is one of one, and Kalen DeBoer and Brian Kelly are not Nick Saban. So
yeah. I mean, Nick Saban also coached for the Dolphins before he got the LSU job, right?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, he was. Florida is very different than the Bayou, but it's still. Well, and no, that's not true. But that's before he went to Bama. But he did win a title at LSU before he went to Alabama. So he went from Michigan State to the Bayou.
Right. Vince asked an interesting question, and we talked about this on Around the Big Ten last week. He says, how many Big Ten teams will have a different head coach at the start of 2026 than they had at the start of 2025? Well, you already have UCLA and Penn State. I would think you're going to have Wisconsin.
You might have Michigan State.
You might have Michigan State as well. At one point, it was kind of trending that way with Michigan. If USC kind of bottoms out to end the year, I don't think that'll happen. But if that does happen, you could see USC trying to work out a deal to get rid of Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to bottom out.
Yeah.
I got my paper pop schedule here. Sorry, I'm totally ripping off of Josh Pate right now. 5 people should go watch his show because I just ripped him off. I think USC. I mean, Iowa and Oregon back to back. That's not a joke for them.
Yeah.
Like they could go from potentially 10-2 to maybe 8-4. And I'm not sure 8-4. I'm not sure people are going to love that.
Yeah. Some people in the chat are saying Maryland.
No.
I think if Loxley gets to 5 wins, he'll be back. If he doesn't win a game the rest of the year, I think he's fired.
Do you really think they're not going to win another game, though?
I don't think that's going to happen. I'm saying that is what would have to happen for him to get fired.
Yeah.
I think they'll win another game this season.
Yeah. I'll tell you that I know we just said that, Indiana, UCLA, maybe it'll be closer. Indiana goes to Maryland this week. That's going to be a tougher game than I think people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's November. It's no longer October. People got to realize that. Like, Loxley has an October curse. It's November now. So, like, I'm not saying they're going to.
I don't know the November record. I'm not aware to know how much better November is. I've tracked September. I've tracked October. Normally by November.
I'm going to look.
Sorry, Maryland fans, but typically it's not much going on for Maryland in November. Normally it's basketball season starting out. Normally I'm focusing on Maryland basketball at that point in time. So. Andy K says this entire coaching cycle seems like it's all Cignetti's fault in the best way possible. I mean, it is surprising to me how many people are like, well, we just hired this coach and he's not done anything. Look at Cignetti at Indiana. I'm like, do we really? Like, is everybody really just trying to say, hey, everybody needs to be like the guy that just had the best, coaching job in my lifetime as a coach? I mean, I would say in all time, but I'm sure there's some guy way back when that I didn't know about. But like, are we really going to hold every single new coach to that standard? Really?
We shouldn't. I was wrong, by the way. Mike Loxley's record is worse in November than it is in October. So
rest assured, Indiana, I know you were very worried, but you should be okay. Should we talk? Should we talk Indiana since we're on them right now?
Yeah, I mean, I already Googled Mike Locksley. We might as well Google Curt Cignetti now.
Well, no, I'm saying for the recap of the game.
I know. I'm saying
Oh.
let's. Yeah, it was a joke. It was a bad
Google
joke.
me. Okay, I got you. Bad job on me. All right.
No, it's just it was a dad joke of nth degree. So
we'll make up for it. All right. Indiana defeats UCLA 56-6, absolutely dominating the UCLA Bruins early on in that game. Pick six to start it off. I think it was the second play of the game, and at that point in time, you were kind of like, okay, yeah. All the announcers and everybody that picked UCLA to win this game, yeah, bad move by them, which I thought at the entire time going into it. I was like, listen, I can understand saying the game might be close, like kind of going for that. But I did not understand people picking UCLA to win that game. It's nothing against UCLA. It's just right now, Indiana is unstoppable. And to try and pick a team coming into their stadium, traveling all the way across the country. Like, yeah, they did that against Michigan State, but it's also Michigan State. This is Indiana. This is the second best team, if not the best team in the country, and they sure looked like it against UCLA. Zach, what were your thoughts on the game, and what was the most impressive thing about the win for Indiana?
Yeah, and just to give people an idea, I went more big picture narrative, not as much maybe in game. I think you're going more in game, like highlights of what was impressive. For me,
hold on one second.
Okay.
Kyle says, I Bleav Zach called the blowout during your predictions. Not true. I called the blowout.
No. Yeah. No, you take your victory lap on that.
I want to set the record straight. I do not get things right more than Zach most of the time. So I have to set the record straight when that does happen. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you take that victory lap. I'm all for it. So here's the thing. I picked it closer, not because I thought Indiana was going to win, but I loved the momentum that UCLA had coming into the game. And I'm like, I just don't know if, like, they have nothing to lose. They've kind of let it all out, and they've looked really good the past 3 weeks. I think they're going to give Indiana a hard time, at least for part of this game. Nope. And here's the thing. You already mentioned it. People actually thought Indiana might lose. Like,
well, the CBS did. CBS. Yeah. Can we talk about CBS for a second? I know this is an Indiana recap right now, but CBS has been awful this season at picking games and trying to predict stuff and everything. Like, it's embarrassing at this point. I get games wrong all the time. They get every game wrong. Like, it's pretty crazy how many analysts they have on there that have picked Washington to beat Ohio State, that have picked Illinois to beat Ohio State, that have picked UCLA to beat Indiana here. And I'm not saying those were wrong picks to think that Washington and Illinois could have beat Ohio State because those teams were at home. It was good opportunities for them. But, to go on there and say, like, this is going to happen, it's like, man.
I'll just say this. Two thoughts. One, CBS, look at us. Give us a call.
Yeah, I could replace Aaron Taylor. He could beat me up, but I could.
It's true. He would beat both of us up. He would. Second thing, they're still better than Desmond Howard. He picked UCLA on game day.
Sounds like something Desmond Howard would do.
Yeah, ignorance.
So, although back to Indiana.
Yeah. Anyway, I do have to give him props for something else later on the show, but that's besides the point. But people actually thought, reasonable people, or at least semi-reasonable people, thought UCLA had a chance in this game. They did not have a chance in this game. Like, and this is, I think, it continues to show, I think, people and help people understand that Indiana does not care about what your record is or who you are or letdowns or any of that stuff, right? Like, they just care about them and their process and how they're going to win games. And if you are not up to the task, they're going to drub you. And like, we've been learning that, but that's my big takeaway is that, listen, I just said Maryland, could be a sneaky game on Indiana's schedule. It won't be sneaky for Curt Cignetti. And it might be closer, because I think their defensive line can give them trouble. I still think Indiana's going to win that game, and I think Indiana is going to find ways to pull ahead, in the fourth quarter, because this is what Indiana does now. This is who they are. And for anyone who's saying, well, Indiana, it's a nice story, but they're probably going to fall short because they're Indiana. That's not who they are anymore. Just it's done. They are a wagon. The certified wagon.
At the very least for this season, I tend to agree with you. The people that are banking on Indiana to not be good next year, I would not, I would not bank on that. And that's actually pretty much like my thing that I was most impressed with in this game. Aidan Fisher went down in this one, right? He got the pick six. The defense didn't miss a step though. After Aidan Fisher went down, Aidan Fisher is the star linebacker on this team, and it showed just how good this team is and just how deep this team is. If you were a fan out there of like an SEC team, or a contending team in the Big Ten, and you're like, oh, okay, well, Indiana is not as deep as some other teams. Yes, Indiana is not as deep as Ohio State. Ohio State has 5 stars all over their roster, but what Indiana does have is they have very well coached players who are playing very confident football right now, who know what they're supposed to do. And even if you do have a guy like Aidan Fisher go out, you have a guy like Isaiah Jones, Bones, they call him, best nickname ever, by the way. You have a guy like him come in and play absolutely fantastic football for your team. So he's been playing well this season. I believe if he's not still the sack leader at one point in the season, going into this game, he was the sack leader for this team. I need to double check those stats, but he has been fantastic this season. Indiana all over the place. Aidan Fisher, Mikael Kamara, D'Angelo Pons, they get a lot of the credit, but there are so many other good players on this defense. There are so many other good players in this two deep as well. Kellen Wyatt has been a huge addition. I know he got hurt and he's out for the season, unfortunately, but he was a really good addition when he was playing before. Mikael Kamara actually has not had the best production this season, but you still have a very ferocious defensive line for Indiana. Like, the more you see these top tier players on this team either get out of the game, or maybe they have a game where they don't produce, but another guy that you didn't even know the name of goes out there and produces, albeit it's against UCLA. I get it. The Ohio State fans are going to see, let's see it against Ohio State. I get that. But still, this is not who Indiana was. Like you were saying, Zach, this is not who Indiana was before. Yeah. Indiana was a team that they had a few good players, and they could work off them. But the minute those players went out, it was scrubs coming in. That's not what Kirk Cinetti has here. Kirk Cinetti has a very good starter group, and he also has a good two deep as well that's going to be able to come in and play well. And I know Isaiah Jones is not a two deep player. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying you see the two deep players come in to give the other guys a breather, and they look just as well coached, just as confident, and just as ready as the other guys. Alberto Mendoza has come in and played really, really well in relief of Fernando Mendoza. I don't think he's Heisman caliber like Fernando Mendoza is, obviously, but he's come in and played really well too, and that's Fernando Mendoza's brother, which I think is really funny that you have on the box score, you have number 15 Mendoza, and then right under him, number 16 Mendoza. It's like, oh,
that's hilarious.
You got the double Mendoza.
And to your point, this is like, I watched a lot of football yesterday. Indiana by far is the best team I watched. Like, I watched some of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I watched some of Texas. I watched a lot. I think all the Big Ten games except Rutgers, Purdue. And I was cluing in on other SEC games, other ACC teams. Easily, Indiana was the best team. And like, there were a few other teams that I thought were impressive. I thought Miami was impressive in the second half, but unlike the mid that is the SEC, and we'll talk about that in the AP poll segment, Indiana is legit right now. And anything can happen as the season progresses. But at least right now, if you put Indiana against any other team, the only one I might say I would favor over Indiana is Ohio State. Like, and that might be a pick 'em.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get to the AP poll in the second part of the show, but these people trying to make like Indiana versus Alabama a thing right now.
Don't do that.
It's just crazy ridiculous. Indiana would beat Alabama by 10 points on a neutral field. Heck, they might do it at Bama. Like, I
Listen,
am
the way
supremely confident that Indiana will beat Alabama. I have no doubt about that in my mind.
Bama stinks right now. I
Well,
mean,
I wouldn't say they stink,
well,
but
I
they
should
didn't play well
they
against South
they did not
Carolina.
they did not play well against a
I
not
think,
very good South
yeah, I
Carolina
think
team.
they're overrated, but I wouldn't say they stink.
Yeah, I want to say they stink, but
Yeah,
they don't stink
I
like the
get it.
NCAA. That's
I
fair.
get
That's fair.
it. Anything else on this game? Any thoughts about UCLA before we move on?
I mean, I think people see, oh, they suck. Listen, Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel, they deserve a lot of credit for them. I mean, what 4 weeks ago we were saying they're not going to win a game, and they won 3.
Yeah.
So like, let's not downplay what they've accomplished.
And let's not be like the SEC fans where it's like, they actually stink. They're actually 10 times worse than South Carolina. It's like, no. I think if you see South Carolina and UCLA on a neutral field, UCLA might win that game. So, but yeah. All right, moving on. Let's get to Northwestern versus Nebraska. Whoops. There we go. I'm trying to bring up these box scores here. I think it's a nice little touch. Let's do Nebraska versus Northwestern. Nebraska wins this one 28-21. Big time win for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and came with a little bit of controversy at the end of the game. Some holding that the Northwestern fans were not too fond of. I think the Northwestern fans had a case, but I also think that there were some missed calls early on in the game that Nebraska didn't get either. So it's not like this always comes down to one play, and the officiating is always perfect going up into it. This was a game that had pretty bad officiating in other spots, and like I said in the performance rating recap, you never leave it up to an official, right? Leave no doubt. Never leave it up to an official, and try to never put yourself in that situation. I get it. Easier said than done, but still, Nebraska comes out of this one with the win. Thoughts on the game and the most impressive part about the win, Zach?
Again, I'm going more big picture. This was not a given for Nebraska, right? We said, I mean, I picked Northwestern to win this outright, and I thought for a big part of this game, Northwestern was going to do that. And a lot of us had Nebraska doing really well this season. I think I had them in my playoff preseason. But I think it's easy to think of the expectations and to forget the achievement that this is. They're going to a bowl game for the second consecutive year now. And I know that's not the target for Nebraska. They want to be a playoff team. They want to be a national championship contending team. They want to win the Big Ten. But guys, you have to understand, like, not everybody's Kurt Signetti. And what Matt Rule is doing in remaking the culture at Nebraska and getting to a second consecutive bowl game, where they didn't go to a bowl game for 7 years, from 2017 to 2023. And for them to do it against a gritty Northwestern team who's really showed a lot of resolve, has really improved from week one. I think it's a big achievement for them that they can continue to build upon, because they're getting to 6 wins in week 10, week 9, not at the end of the season like a year ago. So I think that's big for them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I think that a lot of this kind of goes to Matt Rule, right? Matt Rule had a terrible week last week. He came out and said the guys weren't prepared. We didn't. I don't know remember if he said exactly they didn't take Minnesota seriously enough, but it sounded like that, if I'm not mistaken. And you had some questions about Matt Rule, but I think in this game you saw just how good Matt Rule is, not necessarily in game, but because who did he go out and hire this offseason, Zach? He leveled up his coaching staff by bringing in Mike Ekeler. And you might say, oh, who's Mike Ekeler? It's the special teams coordinator for this team. And you might say, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. You know, special teams, they were putrid in special teams last year. Putrid. It was awful. They sucked. You wanted to see how much their offense was bad. It was 10 times worse with the special teams and what they had to go through last year. This year, he goes out. He gets one of the best, if not the best, special teams coordinator in the country. He brings him in to Nebraska, Nebraska in the special teams looks fantastic this season. They have walk-ons going out there and special teams and playing better than some other special teams units for some of the top tier teams in the country. Mike Ekeler is doing a great job with the punter. That Archie Wilson kid, I Bleav he's a true freshman from Australia. The kid was like in tears at the beginning of the season because he missed his family so much. And I'm not knocking him for it, man. I feel bad. You're all the way over from Australia, leaving your family and everything else. I get it, but he has overcome that, and that's a huge part of Mike Ekeler, this coaching staff, for them to be able to get that done. It's the return games, them returning the kick return to begin the second half. I Bleav it was 95 yards there. Just outstanding stuff from Mike Ekeler. The most impressive part to me was that special teams, because I'm not going to say that Northwestern or that Nebraska wouldn't have won the game without that special teams, but I definitely think that there are a couple of games this season that may have been a bit more dicey if you did not have the special teams you have this year.
Yep.
According to PFF, this is the best special teams unit in the country, according to PFF.
In the country. Wow.
In the country, which is huge, right? Because they grade off your actual performance, not just stats or whatever else. They grade off your actual performance, and they're going out there and they're just looking fantastic. So they've leveled up their special teams. Mike Ekeler, best hire in my opinion for Matt Rule so far, and I'm honestly really impressed with Matt Rule. He Satterfield last year, he came in, replaced him with Dana Holgorsen. Dana Holgorsen has been good this season. I think that, Nebraska fans maybe, left a little bit more to be desired in some areas, but Mike Ekeler has been a home run, and Matt Rule is identifying issues and weaknesses on his team, and he's making hires and getting players in to fix those things. Excellent work by Matt Rule. I could not have more praise for that.
Absolutely.
So, any thoughts on Northwestern or anything, Zach?
I mean, I feel like Northwestern's playing with house money. Like, I don't think people really expected them to be at 5-3. They performed well. It's just they've got to, they need to, if they want to get to a bowl game, they got to find a way to right the ship, because they have the last four: SC, Michigan, Minnesota, and Illinois. Those, I think Minnesota might be winnable. I think if they catch Michigan on the wrong or like on the right day, I think they could possibly win that. Illinois might be winnable, but like they're going to be underdogs in all those games, I think.
Well, and I think that you could make a case that Northwestern played a really, really good game in this one. They were 50% on third down. If Preston Stone hadn't thrown a couple of those those interceptions, which you can say if he didn't, that was also Nebraska's defense being really good, right? So you can't just take that away. But Northwestern had a chance in this game if they would have not turned the ball over and would have had some better special teams. But ultimately, Nebraska did what they had to do to get the win. I'm with you. I think they could possibly take down a team like Michigan. I'm not going to pick it to happen, but they do play a brand of football that could kind of get them there. And man, we talked about it at the beginning. Caleb Komalafe. He's a good back. He's a good back. Nebraska, credit to them. They held Joseph Hyman in check. He didn't really break out for much in the game, but overall, just good game for Nebraska. Got the win, and I think that this team's feeling much more confident. I don't know if they're feeling playoff confident. Their playoff hopes are still alive, but they're just feeling much more confident overall, and I love to see that for them.
You're talking about Nebraska?
Yes, Nebraska.
Yeah,
sorry.
Okay. For me, I was like, I don't think Northwestern was ever thinking playoff, but yeah.
So
it's good.
Hey, if you're a Nebraska fan, if Nebraska football fan, hit that like button for us. We appreciate you doing that. If you are just a fan of the Big Ten, because we're getting to Rutgers here next, hit that like button. Max is reminding us, and Max is reminding me to say it because I forget to say it far too much. So thank you for doing that, Max. Yes, everybody, please do hit the like button, subscribe. If you're listening after the fact, you have the option to be able to hype the show as well, and that helps us out too. So if you would be willing to do that, we would greatly appreciate that. All right, Zach, let's move on to the Rutgers and Purdue game. Here we go. Rutgers wins 27-24 over Purdue. Was a interesting game. Purdue gets out in front early on in the first quarter. They get up 10 points. Rutgers responds in the second quarter, brings it back a little bit more, and then even neck and neck there in the second half. And then finally, Zach, I have to get your thoughts on this play. The batted ball that Ryan Brown catches and then tries to run with, fumbles. Rutgers picks it up, kicks the game-winning field goal. Give me your thoughts on that, and then the most impressive part about the win for Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean, it feels really unfortunate for Purdue that Ryan Brown
Doesn't it just
that
feel like a
play.
Purdue way to lose? Like, I'm sorry, Purdue fans, I'm not trying to come at you here, but like, didn't that just feel like a Purdue way to lose?
I mean, we've been joking all season about where are the specimens on this team, and that feels like a non-specimen type of play,
Agreed. Agreed.
which I feel bad for saying.
That's the new tagline here on the Big Ten
The
Huddle. A
non-specimen
non-specimen
way
type
to
of play.
Aside from that, and I do think Purdue has improved, but I think you really have to credit Rutgers. And I think if anything else, this win proved that this roster still believes in Coach Schiano. Multiple times they could have folded, right? That twice they were down 10 on the road. They let up a go-ahead score with 4:43 left in the game. But Cal McManus, he leads him down the field to tie the game and then capitalized on the non-specimen play. And Patel has missed kicks like that in the past, and they didn't miss with a crowd, on the road. So I know people who are not like knee deep in the Big Ten might be like, who cares about Rutgers, Purdue? I think it's a big win for Rutgers. I think it's big for their program because particularly to show that this team they still believe in their coach. The locker room is still together. And listen, that schedule is nasty the rest of the way. But if you have a program that believes in itself, believes in its coach, at the very least, you're going to build positive momentum for next year. But who knows? They need 2 wins for a bowl game. And it's hard, right? They've got at Illinois, Maryland, and then Ohio State, Penn State, right? Like if you told me 3 or 4 weeks ago that's their ending schedule, I'm like, they're going to lose all 4. Now, like 2 or maybe even 3 of those games are winnable. So this is big in terms of building momentum for them and showing that they trust the process in that locker room.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. HJG says Rutgers never loses to Purdue. 3-0 lifetime. Thank you for the $2 super chat, HJG. Appreciate that. And hey, there you go. Be happy about that. I mean, I don't know how many times Rutgers and Purdue have played like the last years or whatever, but I'll take a 3-0 against any team in the Big Ten in my lifetime. That's an impressive feat there. So you were mentioning it, and I'm gonna get into my most impressive part, but this is one of the reasons why I started the Big Ten Huddle, because there are teams like this out there that are Rutgers, and not necessarily just Rutgers, but in a season like this for Rutgers that nobody ever talks about. And I hate that because I want to know everything that's going on in the conference. And so I started a Big Ten podcast to say, we're going to talk about every single team in the conference. When we do a preview, we're going to talk about every game. When we do a recap, we're going to talk about every game. Now, when I first started it, there were only 14 teams in the conference, so it wasn't nearly as much, but we're still rocking and rolling with it because we do care about every single team in this conference. Whether you say, you want to hear about them or not, that's what we do here at the Big Ten Huddle, every single team. My most impressive part about this win for Rutgers was 2 words: KJ Duff.
Oh my goodness, he's so good.
6 receptions, 241 yards. Look, we have given a lot of credit to Ian Strong, to DT Sheffield this season. I feel like KJ Duff was one of the guys that we did not give, we didn't say his name as much, and boy, was I glad that he had the game he had. Because I'll say it all day long after this one. KJ Duff, KJ Duff, KJ Duff. He was fantastic in this game. Ethan Kaliak-Manis had a high PFF grade in this one. I have to think that was mainly because of KJ Duff with what he was able to do. I mean, he was fantastic. 6 receptions, 241 yards, 1 touchdown reception, 73 yards after the catch. Rutgers does not win this game without him. Whatever NIL you're paying KJ Duff, double it in this situation, because if you're going to get another Big Ten win this season, you are going to need KJ Duff to continue to play like this. This is what they needed. This was the guy that they needed in this moment in time, and he was able to produce for him. Also, great game by Antoine Raymond. Like, there are players on this offense that are not getting enough credit this season because the defense is, just so hard to watch, essentially. But this offense has good players. You and I have been saying it all season long, Zach, and I'm really impressed with Rutgers' offense. They were able to come back in this one, and Rutgers did hold Purdue to 24 points at Purdue. So maybe that defense is looking a little bit better. Purdue, if they've improved in any one area, it's been offense for sure. So to hold them to 24 points, I get it. Quarterback stuff with Malachi Singleton, Ryan Brown, stuff like that. But hey, Singleton threw 3 passes in this one and scored 2 touchdowns. So
dang, how about that?
So, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, any thoughts on KJ Duff?
I mean, we've been saying it, one of the most underrated receiving cores in college football, and part of the reason is because of how many dudes they have. And Duff is one of those dudes. So big game by him. 40 yards per catch. That's insane. I mean, just insane to be able to do that. So major props to him.
Yeah, it was a great game from KJ Duff, and as much as there is friction and everything with Rob Smith and everything right now on the defensive side, and it sounds like they may have changed things with Rutgers there. I'm not sure how all those changes went, but you got a pretty good offense right now, which is really interesting to think about with Rutgers. The high-powered offense, but great game from him. So, anything else? Any thoughts on Purdue or anything before we move on, Zach?
I know we joked about the non-specimen thing, but Purdue's probably not going to have a Big Ten win. I still think you have to applaud them for the progress they've made, because you don't realize just how far they were in the hole. And it's going to take time. It's not going to be overnight like Signetti. This program was in a dumpster, and it's just going to take a long time for Barry Odom to get them out of it.
They have improved though this season, and I think that's important for Purdue fans to see and to recognize. Dante says that Schiano called the defensive plays. I wondered because it looked like he had a call sheet over there, and I watched this game unfortunately with the sound off. I had to pay more attention to a couple other games, but so I didn't hear it if they talked about it. But he talked in the press conference like there was a big change, something like that going on. So I should have researched that more. But thank you, Dante's, for bringing that up. All right, Zach, you ready to move over to? I'm not looking forward to this one. And hey, I commend Philip for being here because this is a tough one to be here for. Washington defeats Illinois 42-25. Tough day for Illinois. Tough day for the Illinois defense in this one, as Washington looked like the team that we thought they were at the beginning of the season when they were scoring on every single drive. They score on every drive except one in this game. They only punted one time, of course, at the end of the game when they had the ball and they ran out the clock. But they only punted once in this game. Washington's offense looked unstoppable. Damon Williams was fantastic. 4 touchdown passes in this game. Jonah Coleman had 75 yards. I mean, basically everything that you and I were kind of saying in the preview that Washington needed to do, they came out, they corrected it in this one. If Washington could just find a way to bring even just some of this on the road, it's going to be a much more difficult team to play when they're on the road. But at least for now, when you go to Washington, it's going to be a really, really difficult game because Denzel Boston was fantastic. Jonah Coleman was fantastic. And you had the offensive line back. Carver Willis and John Mills were both back in this one. And this was a really, really strong team. So I do need to preface that. It was not just they were at home. They had their offensive line good and starting again. Carver Willis and John Mills didn't play the entire game. But your thoughts on the game and what was most impressive about the win to you, Zach?
First of all, I'd like to apologize to the Illini. This is my fault. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah,
I picked Illinois to win. My curse has come back. I'm sorry. Can we talk about Washington's defense for a minute? Because while it wasn't the shutout type performance like we've seen Michigan or Ohio State or other teams do, they picked Altmaier off twice. They held him to under 200 yards passing. They made a really good quarterback look fairly average. Takario Davis had a big play in this game. Rashawn Clark, both of them had the interceptions. And Altmaier only averaged 5.9 yards per pass attempt. So I know, Doug Phelps saying 25 points. We're talking about defense.
Well, but you
Yeah.
also have to recognize how good this offense has been for Illinois this season. Like, you're not saying it's the defensive stand of the year, but they got stops when they needed them.
Yeah. It's big because that's not what Washington has been known for. Right. We've had a lot of questions about their defense, and they delivered. They made stops when they had to. And that's what allowed them to get a bigger lead to put this game away. So that, to me, I think is one of the stories of the game, and impressive because as the season goes on, if they want to be a playoff team, like you at least suggested in your hot takes post on X, they need the defense to at least get stops so that their offense can put some space between them and their opposition.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of Washington team that can make the playoffs that you saw today. Maybe the defense is not, Iowa or Indiana level type of defense, but it's enough to be able to beat the teams on the schedule if you're able to bring that in with a, repaired offensive line. Damon Williams playing the way he is, you're going to have some really good performances from the Washington offense, but I think you can rely on that with more of this offensive line there. I think, you saw the issues against Michigan. Your backup left tackle went out in that game. Your third string left tackle was playing in that one, and you just really never had a chance. And I said it before, John Mills and Carver Willis are the two best run blockers on this Washington offensive line. You have both of those guys go away, and it's no wonder Jonah Coleman wasn't able to run the ball nearly as well as he has been at other times during the season. They both come back. Jonah Coleman gets 75 yards. He has a 5.4 yards per carry. It's not a coincidence. They trusted running behind those two guys because they are trustworthy to run behind. So good win here for Washington. The thing that I'll point out that is like the most impressive thing to me is just it continues to be Damon Williams. He is kind of hot and cold a little bit when he's on the road versus home, but I also, like I said, think that also is contributed by the offensive line and giving him more protection and giving him a run game as well. Damon Williams looked so much more confident and played that way throughout the game. He let his athleticism really take over and his instincts really kind of drive him in this game. You could tell in the Huskies when they needed him most, he was able to make plays. And to me, if you're going to have that Damon Williams all season long, you're going to have that kind of protection for him and give him that kind of support with Denzel Boston and Jonah Coleman. You're going to be able to beat a lot of teams. Yep. We're talking about Iowa being able to possibly beat Oregon. I'm looking at this Washington team and saying this Washington team might be able to beat Oregon as well if they have all cylinders running, if they have a healthy offensive line, everything else. And the defense plays a good game as well. Those are all key factors for Washington to be able to get the win, and I don't think it's out of the question that it could happen. And if they run the table all the way till that game and they get the win, you might find Washington in the playoffs this season as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think Washington has an outside shot for sure. Yeah. That game at Oregon, or the game with Oregon at home, is going to be a tough one. They also... It'll be interesting how they fare at Wisconsin and at UCLA.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see those ones, especially on the road. Any thoughts on Illinois, Zach?
It's just disappointing, right? Like they came in with playoff aspirations. I really believe that they were going to be in the playoff, and they're out. I still think they're a really good team. I think it's a shame that they've lost, I think, every game outside of SC that was a swing game for them. And I think they might go undefeated the rest of the way and finish 9-3. Mm-hmm. And that would be a really good season for them, but it's not what they hoped for.
Yeah, this is not the season that Illinois fans hope for, but you do have a favorable schedule to end the season. You can still end the season with 9 wins, and then you can come out with another bowl win. And if you do that, I know it's not going to be playoffs, but it's still going to be a positive season for Illinois to have back-to-back 10-win seasons. That's something that Illinois football recently has not done very much. And Brett Bielema being able to do that would be huge.
Yeah. It's clear Bielema is the right guy there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. definitely. So, hey, we do want to tell you to check out our Week 10 preview show on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. We would appreciate you being there with us. We get a lot of people who listen and watch these pre-cap shows of the week and everything. We appreciate you doing that. But if you would check us out Tuesday night live at 9 p.m. here on youtube.com/the Big Ten Huddle, we would appreciate that. Or you can listen the next day on the podcast version as well. Go check us out. Do a lot of work in those previews, and we think we do a good job with them, and really kind of gets you prepared for the game and what you're about to see when you watch those games the next time. All right, let's move on to Iowa and Minnesota. Zach, do you remember that I said that we saw murder last week?
Mm-hmm.
We saw murder this week. Iowa beats Minnesota again, 41-3. I picked the wrong week to talk about Drake Lindsay on one of my shows, that he's an underrated quarterback. He goes 16 of 28, 109 yards, 3 interceptions in this one. I was very, very frustrated with Minnesota's performance. I know PJ Fleck and the Minnesota fans were probably 10 times more frustrated than I was, but you really have to give all the credit really to this Iowa team and what they were able to do. They were able to come out, get special teams touchdowns, get defensive touchdowns, have a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. In the first half. This was a really, really special performance for Iowa. Not just that it's in a rivalry game, but also you have a bye week and then you get Oregon at home. And Zach, you best believe Kinnick is going to be rocking against Oregon in that one. I don't know what time it is, but I really, really hope that is a night game, because that is going to be some really good TV to watch between those two teams. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Zach, your thoughts on this game and what was most impressive about Iowa for you?
I'd like to delay the retirement tour of Kirk Ferentz for at least a year. 3 phases. We've been talking about this all season. Iowa with an offense, and people are saying it in the chat, if you have an offense that you can rely on with Iowa, you become potentially one of the best teams in the country, because their defense has been good to great consistently. Their special teams has been good or great consistently. Their offense has been just terrible. They were not terrible yesterday. And like, Minnesota is they're a decent team. I don't want to say they're good. I don't want to say they're certainly not great, but they are decent. And they made Minnesota, like they did to Minnesota what Ohio State did to Minnesota. And that's right after doing what they did to Wisconsin. And then, they come back to beat Penn State at home. I know people say, well, Penn State's not good. Penn State's still got talent. Like that really matters. And they came back, they won the game. Gronowski led them on a game-winning drive. And so to me, the big lesson is Iowa needs to be taken seriously, not just as a threat to other teams, but as a playoff threat.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be taken seriously by the national media. Totally. We'll talk more about them when we get to the AP poll and kind of the second half of the show, but my gosh, like, I don't know how you can watch this Iowa team right now. You just watched them completely dismantle Wisconsin, which, yes, it's Wisconsin, but still, they scored more points and shut out Wisconsin than Ohio State scored. Now, I know transitive properties are not exactly a thing, but still, like, with Ohio State being as dominant as they have been this season, Iowa doing what they did is still very, very impressive and still speaks volumes about this team. Coming back to this game, them to be able to do this to Minnesota after Minnesota just trounced Nebraska. Sorry, Nebraska fans, but still, like, after what they just did to Nebraska, coming into this game and just completely tearing apart Minnesota, it's huge. They are in a really good place right now. The schedule is pretty difficult to end the season. You have Oregon at USC, at Nebraska. I think they have Michigan State in there as well. So those are all 3 pretty difficult games in there. But this is still a team that is rocking and rolling at this point. I really wish they would not have lost that Iowa State game to begin the year. If they had not, I would have liked their chances a whole lot more. But still, you can't count this team out for a possible playoff opportunity here. By the way, thank you, Matt. He says Iowa, Oregon can't be a night game. Big Ten only allows 5 night games per year. Iowa is already at 5. I remembered that rule. I did not remember that Iowa already had 5 night games. So thank you for filling that in.
I would almost bet it's going to be big noon.
Gosh, I hope not.
Yeah. Also, Philip, I said I'm delaying it. You don't have to BS me on that. I delayed it. It's rescheduled. I'm not done. It's just not going to be this year.
All right. So my most impressive thing about the game, and I think it's been misconstrued, some of my thoughts on the passing game for Iowa. I think some people have come into this thinking like, well, JR thinks that Mark Gronowski needs to come out here and pass for 250 yards and 3 touchdown passes. I've never been on that spectrum of it. What I have been is thinking that you need a big pass play opportunity to be able to move out some of these safeties and help your run game start a little bit more. They had that with Dayton Howard early on in the season a little bit. I think he had a big catch in one of their games. I think it was the Rutgers game, actually. And so you've seen glimpses of this. But with Reese Vanderzee coming back now, that was a really nice throw by Mark Gronowski to hit him in the end zone. I Bleav it was a 29-yard touchdown reception there. Really nice throw from Mark Gronowski. Really good catch from Reese Vanderzee to be able to adjust with the ball in the air. It wasn't like he had to adjust because it was a bad throw. He just adjusted because he was closer to the sideline and made sure he got the reception there. So touchdown pass from him. That's the kind of stuff we need to be able to see from Iowa, knowing that that is something reliably that can happen, or not even just reliably happen every game, but the threat of it is there, right? So that way you can't just bring your safeties up to the line of scrimmage and completely take everything away. Love to see that from Mark Gronowski. Still have some concerns with him holding the ball a little bit too much and some of that stuff, but overall, really good game from him, the rushing, everything else. As long as he doesn't get hurt, as long as he doesn't take too many hits to where he's not able to throw the ball, I feel really good about this Iowa team to finish out the year. And I would say, oh boy, should I go out on a limb here?
Do it.
9 wins at least for Iowa this season.
Okay, I don't know if that's. Hold on.
If they play like this, like I said, remember my caveat. If Mark Gronowski does not get hurt and he continues to throw like this, 9 wins for Iowa. Or more.
I don't know how much of it. Well, yeah, no, it's not an easy schedule.
You're the one that was just talking about him as a playoff team.
Well, no. I was about to say.
We're going to get to the playoffs with 8 wins, Zach?
No. I was going to say, I don't know if 9 wins is a limb, because I think Iowa's really good if they play like this. But I was looking at their schedule.
Your thought there. I like your thought there.
But I was looking at their schedule. I'm like, I think 9, especially 10 is a limb, but I would think 9 wins is a limb too, because it's at Nebraska, at USC. Those are not easy games. Home against Oregon.
I think they'll beat Nebraska at Nebraska. I feel pretty confident in that, unless Nebraska starts looking really, really good again. Then I might rethink that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But who knows? This Oregon team could just completely take care of them, and I'm like back to good Iowa, but not an elite team.
Yeah.
Which again, good Iowa is not a bad thing. We're just talking about being able to step up the ladder here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm saying it's I was thinking 9 wins is not a limb, but I get Nebraska and USC probably does not match up on the lines, but both can hurt you in different ways. They have more explosive capabilities, and that would give me pause to say, well, Iowa's definitely going to win those games. And then Oregon's another beast, but
yeah, but they match up with Oregon on the line of scrimmage.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I think
and their skill players look better than we thought at the beginning of the season, especially with Reese Vanderzee in there now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their DBs, I mean, I think Iowa has the advantage at DB over Oregon with their wide receivers. Oregon has some really good wide receivers, but a lot of them are young.
Yep.
Right? I mean, Corian Moore is pretty young. He's really talented, but he's still a true freshman. Gary Bryant Jr., like him, but he makes some mistakes here and there.
Yeah. I think,
Iowa DBs are really good, man.
Yeah, they've proven me wrong in
Yeah.
many ways this season, and I will happily take that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, Doug says it. Iowa's lines are better.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll
Oh.
talk about Oregon here in just a second, but
Yep.
yeah, I agree. After what we saw against Wisconsin in that one, which I guess let's just go ahead and talk about it because Oregon Oregon beats Wisconsin 21-7. The game was probably closer than most people wanted. There at the first half, it was 7-0 to end the first half. I know some Oregon fans were very upset with my performance tier rating of putting them in the questionable category, saying it was a sloppy, wet game. You got to give us more grace. And I think I can give more grace if like the team is trying to throw the ball around and it's just not being completed very well. Dante Moore threw the ball 15 times in this game. He was 9 of 15 in this game. This was not a game where Oregon, was trying to throw the ball around a bunch. Now, you need to give Oregon a whole lot of credit because their young running backs were huge for them in this one, especially down the stretch, and the offensive line looked much better. But you could definitely say there were some issues with Oregon in the first half of this game. Got them corrected in the second half. Props to them on that one, but definitely some stuff there. We're going to remain positive to start. So, Zach, your thoughts on Oregon's win and what impressed you most with that win?
Yeah, I think again, big picture, they were able to finish the game despite a lackluster performance, which is a big deal because sometimes you have those games. Again, the weather was terrible. I think I saw 30-mile-an-hour winds, driving
And it does need
rainstorm.
to be mentioned the weather was
Yeah,
terrible. Like you can't just completely say it didn't happen. But I'm
yeah,
one of those people that's like I don't like blaming it all on the weather.
yeah. We do need to point out negatives here, but I'll just start by saying this: you can easily lose games like this, where not everything's clicking, the elements are against you, and Wisconsin, I think, was playing inspired ball, at least on the line of scrimmage. And Oregon just churned it out. And the running backs, I think you're going to mention something about the running backs, but the running backs did their job. They had a good performance. They were able to keep going even after Dante Moore got hurt. And yeah, they just got through it. And sometimes you have to just give props to a team that doesn't have their fastball. I think it was a few years ago when Ohio State was at Northwestern, there was a huge there was like a hurricane, right? Or some sort of huge storm going through. And everybody's like, oh, CJ Stroud only threw 50 yards. Okay. You're not going to throw for a lot of yards when you're in a
Well,
windstorm.
and part of
So
that was also on Ryan Day because he threw the ball like over 20 yards that day or
that's
over 20 times that day.
yeah.
Right? If that was happening in this one, I'd be like, okay, I'm not down on Oregon. I'm just down
Yeah.
on the play calling of Will Stein, right? That you're
Yeah.
throwing the ball 20 plus times in these kind of conditions. But, um,
Yeah. My point though is that they found a way to win, and sometimes these types of games can get away from you, even against a team that you would think would never beat Oregon. The fact that they were able to kind of work through it, it's good, not just that they won the game, but it's good for their culture, for their locker room. It's like, hey, we've been in a tough situation. We can deal with this.
Well, and it's also good too. I mean, you look at these Oregon running backs, and I mean these freshman running backs for Oregon have been a godsend this season because Oregon's running backs, it kind of feels like whoever it needs to be each game steps up. Jordan Davison kind of started the year as more of the short yardage back, and then in this game he's getting 16 carries for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then right behind him Noah Whittington 14 carries for 97 yards. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we were like, why aren't we seeing Mekhi Hughes? Like, what's going on there? We learned pretty quickly, and we definitely learned in this game that Oregon did a great job of recruiting running backs, and they've done a great job of developing them as well. Noah Whittington, he's been out a little bit this season, but when he's played, he's looked really good. DR Hill, he only got 2 carries in this game. He's been the leading rusher for Oregon a couple times this season. I need to go and do like double checking on the stats and stuff, but from what I checked out, the only 2 teams in the nation that have had 4 different running backs be leading rushers in a game for their team this season is Oregon and Northwestern. Those are the only two teams that have been able to do that, which shows just how deep that running back room is. You got Whittington, Davison, Deere Hill. I mean, all these guys that are able to get these big games and be able to lead the team in rushing for you. And Dante Moore, he can scoot as well, but he doesn't have to as much because you have this big stable of running backs. And I just think that's a godsend. I think it's great for Oregon that they have that type of ability, and especially in this game. Once the Oregon offensive line got going, kind of started there at the end of the second quarter, and it really took off. I think they had almost 200 yards rushing in the second half alone. So major credit, major props there. But a slow start for Oregon that, coming off the Rutgers game, it looked really, really good. But this Wisconsin one, you wanted to see the dominance that Iowa had at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you just did not see that for the entirety of the game. You saw it for the second half, but you didn't see it for the entirety of the game.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So any thoughts on Wisconsin?
They competed, and I give them credit for that.
I feel like I'm validated in how much I talk about their run defense now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten some crap from people in the comment section that are like, man, this guy's trying to gas up Wisconsin. It's like, no, I'm not gassing him up. It's real. It is something they actually do well. And nobody wants to give them credit for it.
There is a strength there. And here's my concern. And I see a couple Oregon fans, kind of fighting like, oh, like Oregon was fine. It was 21-0. Listen, if I'm Oregon, I'm concerned about the lines.
I'm not concerned.
I'm concerned.
No, I think it's not the best line in the Big Ten, but it's still top 3.
Well,
you can't discount what happened in the second half.
No, I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying, if I know I have to go to Iowa, and that's the performance I had against Wisconsin, I don't love that, because you know what doesn't affect the line play? Weather.
Yeah,
and so,
I mean,
so like for people who are saying, well, it was because of the rain or because of the wind, I am concerned because of the fact that they have to go to Kinnick. And I'll just say, like, James, you're saying Iowa is not Wisconsin. Yeah, Iowa crushed Wisconsin. Iowa murdered them. And they murdered them on the lines. So, like, if you're thinking, well, Wisconsin's better on the lines, no, they're not. Not by a long shot.
Wisconsin's better on the lines than who?
No, if you're saying Wisconsin's better than Iowa on the lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa's had a really good run defense this season. A lot of it's been because of that line, but you also can look at this and say this is a good thing for Oregon because they got smacked in the mouth, and they're going to come out and say, well, we're not as much a hot team as we thought we were.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the weight room, like we're not going to let this happen again. We need to be prepared for a muggy, gross game where the offensive line goes up against, somebody that's a better unit than people give them credit for, So yeah. I don't think we're being all that mean to Oregon right now. We said they struggled for the first quarter and half of the second quarter, but
yeah, we're not trying to transitive property this thing either.
No, we never said Iowa crushes Oregon. We said Iowa can give Oregon a good game.
Yeah.
It's not. I recognize that sometimes we don't always come across as, like the best sometimes because we can be critical of teams, but guys, we're going to do our top 25s. I still have Oregon in the top 5.
Yeah.
They're a really, really good football team. This is not about Oregon not looking good. This is about Iowa looking really good and Iowa having some of the best lines of scrimmage in the Big Ten. It's going to be an awesome matchup because Oregon has some of the best line of scrimmage in the Big Ten as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awesome.
Well said.
SEC teams aren't going to appreciate it because they want to see run and gun and do all this stuff. But in the Big Ten, we care about our offensive lines. We care about our defensive lines. It's going to be a really, really good game.
And going back to the matchup against Iowa, one thing that's really good, there's a bye week for both teams. And like it helps Oregon get right, Dante Moore get right. I think that's going to be huge for them.
I don't remember saying Oregon Lions can't compete. If I said that, I guess I was wrong, but I don't remember saying that. So
maybe I might have said something. I may have. Yeah, I don't think we're trying to say they can't compete. I think we're saying I have a concern. JR doesn't even have a concern.
No,
I
I
have
don't
a
even have a
concern.
concern. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a rough first quarter and like half of a second quarter.
Yeah.
Oregon's still a really good football team. I still
Mm-hmm.
think Dan Lanning's one of the best. Oh, James said Zach did. Okay, you're the culprit.
Yeah. No, all I'm
Blame Zach,
saying,
not me.
I'm saying I have a concern. I'm not saying that their lines can't compete. I'm saying I have a concern that when they play Iowa, that might be a struggle. Now, who knows? They might they might go and they might, whip back into
Mhm.
shape after a week of rest, and I'll be like, okay, I was wrong. But
Oregon's got a big stretch here at the end of the season. I'm really excited to see the way they
yeah,
finish it out. It's going to be cool.
yeah.
You have USC, Washington, Iowa here to end the season. Um, it's going to be really, really fun watching this team to end the year because it's a fun team right
Mhm.
now. Dante Moore, hopefully he's okay. I haven't heard any news
Yeah, I think he's fine.
coming out of that one, but I know he broke his nose, so I'm sure he'll be back. But, you know,
Give him more character,
yeah, there you go. All right,
more
looking forward.
distinguished.
Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing Oregon the rest of the season. It's gonna be a great season. All right, Zach, let's finish it out here with. We did our kind of reactions to this, so we talked about them a little bit already. But Michigan defeats Michigan State 31-20. Great game here for Michigan, in my opinion. I know Michigan State kind of came back for it a little bit, but I mean, you and I were talking. We're like, let's go early for the Big Ten, power rankings because this game is over. And it's like, well, we can't. You never know what can happen in a rivalry game like this. We
Mhm.
can't go live if it's a 10-point game in the fourth quarter. So finally, Michigan scores, and we're like, oh, well. Michigan scores, and we're like, okay, let's do the Big Ten power rankings. We were live at that time, but this was a game that I never really felt like Michigan was going to lose. They dominated the game. Michigan State did run on them more than I thought they would, but I think, it wasn't like it was some kind of dominance from them or anything like that. Aiden Childs made some plays, did some nice things, but overall, even with Bryce Underwood not having his best game, Justice Haynes, 26 carries, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Marshall, 15 carries, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Bryce Underwood had 5 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Your thoughts on the game, and then what impressed you most about Michigan?
Yeah. By the way, we missed Dave's super chat, so we need to bring it up at some point. But yeah, real quick. I mean, I think Michigan, it's kind of what we expected. I think we both picked the game. This might have been for both of us the game we both picked the closest. And I think my takeaway, or the thing I'm most impressed by, is the thing I've always been impressed by with Michigan: their run game. They have 2 backs over 100 yards. Justice Haynes is a stud. Jordan Marshall's a stud. They couldn't stop him, and that's the reality. And you hope that their potential continues to grow and flourish with Underwood under there. But that's my takeaway, is that their run game is still one of the best. It's one of the best run games, if not the best run game in college football.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think I look at the defense more than anything else because to me, you're a Michigan fan. You're saying this is great because you have Jimmy Rolder right now playing his best football that he's played all season long. The past 3 games, he's just been fantastic for this team. Had an interception last game. Before this one, he had over 10 tackles in this game for Michigan and played really, really well. I was kind of concerned when they started moving Jayshon Barham down to the edge a little bit more. It's like, okay, you have Ernest Hausman back there, but who are you going to have next to him? And Cole Sullivan, Jimmy Rolder being back there with Ernest Hausman. Even when Hausman went down, Rolder's been playing so well. I was like, okay, well, that sucks for Michigan, but like these Michigan linebackers have also been really, really good for them. So it's been a really, really good thing for Michigan to be able to have Jimmy Rolder, Cole Sullivan playing so well. Rolder has a type of trigger that is really, really good for him to be able to track down ball carriers. He also does a pretty good job in coverage as well, and he doesn't get fooled very often. He's a very smart player, very instinctual player. I had some concerns about Michigan after that USC game, just like everybody else did, because it just felt like they weren't playing together as a team. But now this Washington game, this game against Michigan State here, it really feels like this defense is playing together. They're playing more inspired football for each other. Not that they didn't want to play before, but I'm saying for each other, being more connected, and it's been been a really, really good thing for Michigan. This is an Ohio State fan saying this. So, Michigan fans, you can revel in the fact that an Ohio State fan is propping up your team right now. But here on the Big Ten Huddle, we give credit where credit is due. And Michigan gets a whole lot of credit right now for the way they've looked on defense, especially coming off that USC game where the defense could have just fell apart. But credit to the coaching staff, credit to the players that didn't let that happen. This defense has looked really, really good against two good offenses. Michigan State might not be a great team this year, but they have a good quarterback. They have good receivers.
They have good offensive weapons.
Yep, Mekhi Frazier's a good back.
Yep.
But yeah, any thoughts on that, Zach?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think someone posted it, but Michigan, I think, has a very clear path to the playoff. Right? Because they have
Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's because I think most likely they get Purdue at home, then a bye at Northwestern, at Maryland. You would assume that they're going to win those games. And you get Ohio State at home. And I mean, we've both said it. I don't care what the records say. I'm picking Michigan in that game. Until Ohio State proves to me otherwise, I will pick Michigan in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'm going to pick Michigan to win that game. I'll say that Ohio State should win that game because they have the talent advantage. But for whatever reason, Michigan, they have Ohio State's number. They have Ryan Day's number right now. And it being at Michigan is another huge advantage for them. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, if you're a Michigan fan after this one, I know they wanted to fire Sherrone Moore a couple weeks ago, and I get it. I get it after that performance, but maybe you're still not super confident in Sherrone Moore, but you're at the very least confident in this defense and confident in Wink Martindale making the adjustments he's made because it's been good. Any thoughts on Michigan State before we move on?
Nope. I was just gonna say we should bring up Dave's super chat here.
Yep.
Every year that Iowa wins against Minnesota is 1 year. I know that PJ Fleck is still going to be our head coach. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, PJ Fleck has done well against Nebraska. It's not been good for him against Iowa, unfortunately. And I think a lot of it is because he does want to kind of be what Kirk Ferentz is, right? Like he's talked about that in press conferences. Not like be him, but have the style of football and stuff like that, have the coaching acumen that Kirk Ferentz has, you know.
Oh yeah, I think that's like where he wants to bring Minnesota for sure. Billy Tuesday, yes. That's exactly what's happening.
Pick Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, that and also I just call it like I see it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I've seen it the past few years.
There's nothing that suggests to me. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are things that suggest to me that Ryan Day is changing his approach, but
yeah.
Listen, 4 straight losses, you just kind of assume at this point. Yeah.
Well, let me go back to the Dave question really fast, and then we'll move on to the second part of the episode here. If you're a Minnesota fan, are you like he's able to beat Nebraska, and that's good, but Iowa's the real rival here, right? Like, do you ever get sick of PJ Fleck? He keeps delivering you 6, 7, 8 win seasons, 9. Heck, he's got to 10.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he's, putting out 3, 4 win seasons or anything like that. Are you as a Minnesota fan, would you be patient enough to say, keep rolling with it, Kirk Ferentz will retire, confident in PJ Fleck?
I think what's going to be hard, in some ways, I think PJ Fleck might end up being like James Franklin light, which is that there's a plateau that fans start to get annoyed by. And then he's going to have 1 year where the wheels fall off, and that'll be the reason why he gets fired.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on if he has a season where, like, they make the playoffs or something like that, and then that becomes the expectation.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, or if they get to the playoffs and they get over the hump, then it could be like lifetime contract.
Yeah. And Dave's exactly right here. He says the problem is more than just PJ Fleck. It's Minnesota handling the football program. They fire him. Who do they get? to go after. And that's exactly true. And that's the part that we brought up about PJ Fleck before. There's not many coaches in the country that would be able to still produce the team that PJ Fleck is and still be able to produce the staff. We do not give. I know they just lost 41-3, so this is probably the worst time in the world to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We do not give Minnesota and PJ Fleck enough credit for bringing Danny Collins in, and this defense looks like it's hardly lost a step from Corey Heatherman last year, right? Like at a certain point, yes, the defensive coordinator, but it's also just PJ does a really good job leading his staff, leading his team with less resources than most other programs, and they're still able to go out there and put together 7, 8, 9 win seasons. So,
yeah,
good thing to bring up there, Dave. We appreciate it. Everybody's talking about the way PJ dresses. Hey, you know what? If I had the confidence of PJ Fleck to dress in a, I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, just keep rowing the boat. Just keep rowing the boat.
Row the boat. All right, let's move on to the second segment of the episode here. If you are listening on podcast, we appreciate it. We are going to end the podcast episode here. If you're listening on YouTube, stick with us. We are going to get into our AP poll reactions right after this. 5-star rating, review, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We greatly appreciate it. We will be right back. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We are presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here as we are going to react to the AP poll and everything that's going on in college football right now. And Zach and I definitely have issues with the AP poll. Once again, it's not the end all be all, but boy, is it really, really frustrating to watch Big Ten teams that should have a number next to their name that consistently do not have that number. We're going to get into it all. We're going to prop up some teams in the Big Ten and make sure you understand why they need to be ranked and other teams should not be ranked. Zach, are you as ticked off about the AP poll as I am?
I feel a little numb, if I'm being honest. I feel like this every week. I'll tell you what, though, I was impressed because one Josh Pate said he was going to go on the defense for a certain team in Iowa, and it is not the Cyclones. So, like, people are noticing. Big people are noticing. And the biggest of all is you and me. So,
well, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get right into it. Everybody's already reacting in the chat, and for good reason, because they all know exactly what we're gonna talk about here. The AP poll came out. I'll read it off just to give you the info. Ohio State is number 1. This is the right one, right? No, this is last week.
This is last week.
I screwed up.
I was like, Illinois is not still ranked.
Yeah, my bad. Gosh.
And now I'm off the screen.
Now you're off the screen. It's a great production here.
It's all right. All the podcast listeners, or all the people on audio podcast are like, what do you mean it's the wrong one? What do you mean? What's going on?
Yeah. I'll pull it up here and just bring it on the screen next to us. But basically, from my recollection, while I bring this up, the Iowa is not ranked, and that's really the basis of it all. You have every single 6-2 team or better, and the SEC is ranked, and only half of the 6-2 teams or better in the Big Ten are ranked, and it's really, really frustrating. Zach, take over for me while I bring this up.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, Iowa's not ranked. Washington's not ranked. USC is below Michigan, which I still don't understand. Like, I've not heard a good explanation for USC being below Michigan in the poll. So yeah, it's just an odd thing. And then okay, you've got it up. Like, you have a smattering of Big 12 teams in there. There's 5 Big 12 teams in there where I'm like, okay, but are they really good? Like, are we sure that Iowa wouldn't beat Houston? We know that Nebraska would beat Cincinnati because they did. Like, that's the thing that's bothers me.
The thing that's frustrating is you have teams in there that are in there because of their record, right? You have teams like Virginia and Houston in there that are in there because of their record. When in reality, I can tell you for a fact that Iowa would beat Virginia. I can tell you for a fact that Iowa would beat Houston. Like, this is the most infuriating part about AP poll rankings. Is like, I get it. They have to be up there because they're either undefeated or they have one loss. Um, but it doesn't mean that they should be ranked above another team when you, I mean, I guess I'm dealing in hypotheticals here, like SEC fans a little bit,
Yeah.
but I feel very confident that Iowa would be able to take down Virginia or
Yeah.
Houston.
I feel like I didn't know if we wanted to take it down the graphic, by the way, the score bug.
Oh yeah,
But
thanks.
um, I think it's just, do people watch football? And I
Well,
appreciate
no,
it.
we talked about this with Doug, right? Like
Yeah,
they
like I
don't
appreciate
watch
Doug.
the games.
Yeah. So I appreciate, which gives me a lot of sympathy for a lot of AP voters. So we shouldn't, I think the thing I learned from Doug, which by the way, if you did not watch that episode, go back and watch it or listen to it. It was awesome. Maybe I'm a Doug fanboy, but I appreciated his reminder to us that like often the people that are voting are beat writers and their main job is to cover the team. So like of course they're not watching these teams. So I think I'm less upset and more just like, the problem is that they're just taking a list and they're revoting every week. And so I'm not surprised because it's like, oh, Michigan won. Cool. I'll move them up a couple spots. Oh, this team lost. I'll bump them out or bump them down. Like that's just what they're doing. And they're not actually taking things into account. They're not really thinking about a strategy. They're just thinking it's 3 a.m. and I'm exhausted. I got to fill one of these things out.
Yeah, let me double check this article written by this person, on what the AP poll should look like, and so I'm gonna go to that. And we've had AP poll voters come out and say like, "Oh yeah, I missed that." Like, to me, if that type of stuff happens, then the voter should not be removed completely, but their poll for that week like should be gone. Like,
Mhm.
if you do not decrease Florida after they lose to USF, your poll should be gone that week. It's just wrong, right? Like, you can't move up Florida after losing to USF, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. So I still do not understand for the life of me how Tennessee and Missouri are ranked. Neither of them have like, and I hate to kind of play this good wins card because you know the SEC fans love to play it, but the difference is they love to play it with like, well, they don't have a ranked win, and it's like, well, of course they don't have a ranked win. You know, over half of their conference is not ranked. You know, Tennessee, they have beaten Kentucky, Arkansas, at Mississippi State, UAB, an FCS team where Cade McNamara is the starting quarterback. I don't know if anybody knew that, and then Syracuse. Like, how is that top 15 worthy? If you want to say,
Yep.
oh well, they almost beat Georgia, okay,
Quality loss.
yeah,
Yeah.
but apparently Illinois, like losing to Ohio State and Indiana, which I get it, like I get that they lost by a bunch of points, but then at the same time, we don't hold Texas A&M accountable for playing close games against Arkansas and going to
Yeah.
overtime against Mississippi State, like.
Yep.
Like, we're seeing a whole bunch of people now talking about, well, is Texas A&M supposed to be number one? And Texas A&M has gotten number one votes. It's just it's baffling to me. They beat a crappy LSU team that should have never been ranked.
Yep. They just fired
And
their coach.
yeah, they knew they weren't good. They beat Clemson early on, and
Yeah.
Clemson sucks.
Yep. I I don't know if I have like any other thoughts. I just think it's really, to me, this ranking doesn't matter anymore. And
Well,
I
but that's
think
like
part
that's
of
the
the,
hard part. Like, it does matter though. Like,
well, yeah, I like
that
it, Matt.
that was one area where I disagreed with Doug a little bit, where he was like, it doesn't really matter. What matters is perception. Well, what fuels perception though? These rankings
Yeah, but
a
I
lot of the
think,
time.
yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think though, I think a lot of people, like, I think in some ways we almost have to just let things play out, because I think the teams that will get in the playoff will get in, and if things keep trending the way that they're trending, I don't know how you don't end up having Ohio State, Indiana being the top teams, because the SEC, like, Texas A&M, I've been a little impressed by. Aside from them, like, Bama has had good moments, but like they've had some pretty bad moments. Georgia is mid to the core. Vandy is mid. Like, they're pumping up Diego Pavia for scoring 17 points on a mid Missouri team.
Did you see that ESPN posted that touchdown where there were 2 flags on Vanderbilt?
No, I
Imagine if
didn't.
this didn't get called back. Imagine what would have happened if there wasn't constant holding on that play. We had to throw 2 flags. He wouldn't have made the play. It's just
Love
it's
it,
just
love it,
crazy.
love it. Yeah.
Somebody also brought up Missouri. Sorry, I didn't catch your comment quick enough. And that was exactly where I was going to go next. Like, Missouri has beat Central Arkansas, FCS team, Kansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, UMass, at
Yeah.
Auburn.
Yeah.
How are you
Not
a
a good
top
schedule.
20 team when those are your wins?
Yep. Well, but I think, to be fair, and I have Iowa ranked in my poll. Iowa is ranked less on their resume and more on their game control, right? Because their best win is Minnesota, a 5-3 Minnesota team that lost on the road at Cal. Which I'm not saying is bad. Like, that doesn't mean they shouldn't be ranked. I think you have to dig a bit deeper to understand some of what the Big Ten teams have done. Same thing with Washington. Like, you're going to say, well, they don't have any ranked wins. They beat Illinois, but now they're not ranked. But I think it's the combination of their offense, right? Their offense is good. Their defense is improving. Their only losses are to Ohio State and to Michigan. But people aren't considering the level of their victories and how they've looked. They're just looking at resume and they say, well, that's, again, perception. That's not as good as Tennessee. That's not as good as Missouri, it's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But the resumes are not all that different. And so I think what really killed the Big Ten in perception, Doug mentioned it, USC not beating Notre Dame, that killed perception. I think,
but it's also on the road, a cross country.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but
No,
that
I
killed
know you're not.
perception.
I'm saying, like, over, like, nobody has that type of context. An SEC team loses on the road, and it's like, oh well, it's really tough to play on the road. In the SEC, Alabama nearly loses South Carolina. They get a I said lucky earlier. That was probably the wrong word for it. They did strip the
It
ball
was
out,
it
but
was a little lucky.
like,
It was a little lucky.
and everybody says, oh, they advanced, playing on the road against South Carolina, and it's like, South Carolina sucks, man.
They're
Like, we're
bad.
gonna give them credit for that,
They're
but
not
Indiana
good.
beats UCLA, and Stuart Mandel is out here talking about how much UCLA sucks. Like,
Yeah. The thing, and this is where I'll push back a little bit. If Minnesota beats Cal, like, that would have really helped, but they didn't. And like, that was a totally winnable game, and
and,
Minnesota didn't. And like,
yeah,
Iowa losing to Iowa State, like, Iowa State's not terrible. They've kind of have not been great, but like, I realize I'm taking a different tack than I typically do, because I agree with you. I agree with you that it's stupid, but also, like, at some point we have to look at the mirror and say, hey, mid-tier Big Ten programs, don't lose your out of conference games, because this is what happens. Like, you've got to win those games, and they didn't. And because of it, a whole conference suffers, because, like, you have people questioning Ohio State because, stupidly, people are questioning Indiana stupidly. and people are questioning Oregon stupidly. People are not ranking Washington. But the reality is other Big Ten teams didn't do their part. And that's unfortunately skewed the perception a little bit. And because the SEC doesn't play many teams out of conference, they
do. They just play them all at home or on a neutral site.
Yeah.
Like Tennessee played Syracuse at home.
Wow, but
right?
Syracuse sucks. That's my point though. They don't play good out of conference games except for a couple. And when they do, they get beat. But they are sneaky good at scheduling bad out of conference, like Alabama scheduling Wisconsin. It's like, well, that's a good out of conference win. No, it's not. Wisconsin stinks. But it's propped up as SEC 1, Big Ten 0. It alters perception.
And I didn't tweet this, but I was going to, and I don't remember why I didn't. I think I accidentally deleted it, and I didn't. You know what the ESPN FPI average rank of all the SEC out of conference wins are?
No, what is it?
If you take out Michigan, it's above 60.
Mm-hmm.
With Michigan, it's still above 50 in ESPN FPI. You have Virginia Tech, Syracuse, teams in there that beat up on crappy ACC teams, which granted, Minnesota didn't beat a crappy ACC team. I say crappy, they're 5-3. It's not like they're 3-5 or something like South Carolina.
Yeah.
But still, they had to go on the road to go play that game. And overall, I mean, I am with what Indiana did, not playing the out of conference games before. I didn't like it because I want to see bigger games, but I could understand it and get with it. I want everybody to play them now, but at the same time, are you going to play them on the road or at home? I don't know. That's probably a conversation for a different day.
So there is something to bring up there, though, because, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, like Ohio State, Texas was game 1, and everybody is taking that to make a point that isn't there. And I will say the same is true. And I'm not a Bama defender, but the same is true for Bama at Florida State, where those data points are relevant. But a real question you have to ask with both of those results is, where have those teams gone since then? And I think for Texas and Ohio State, people are trying to almost make the argument, well, Ohio State hasn't played anybody, and because they only beat by Texas by a touchdown, they're really not that good. That is taking it way out of context, because you're saying that Ohio State hasn't improved since week 1, which, if you are watching any bit of Ohio State football, is not true. Whereas Texas has not improved.
Mm-hmm.
They have been not very good. I'll go to Florida State, Alabama. Florida State has tanked. Alabama has gotten better, but I don't think they've gotten that much better, but they have gotten better. And so I think anybody who takes both of those results and tries to extrapolate more from those as the beginning game of the season and not realize that teams don't improve. Iowa is the same case, right? Iowa is much better now than when they played Iowa State. The problem, so you have multiple problems with the poll and how people are perceiving things. But I'll go back to what I was saying before. How teams are how voters are going to misperceive things. So you're going to do yourself a solid if you just beat the team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. If we get back to the AP poll, because we've kind of gone off track here for a minute, but I agree with what you're saying, and I'm just trying to find a creative way to get back to the AP poll, and I can't, so I'm just going to come right out and say it. No, it is partially the AP poll, but it is also just partially the perception and everything like that. Another team in there, I cannot imagine anybody would actually pick Memphis to beat Iowa. I cannot imagine anybody would actually pick Memphis to beat Washington.
But JR, they beat Arkansas.
I mean, okay, Arkansas sucks.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
Yeah. But people look at Iowa and Washington and be like, oh, they suck. They have 2 losses in the Big Ten. Every other SEC team that has 2 losses or less is ranked, but The minute a Big Ten team gets 2 losses, it's like, we don't know. I mean,
Mhm.
I could make a case that Illinois should still be ranked, even with 3
Oh yeah,
losses. Now,
I
not
thought
high. I'd have them like 24, 25. In fact, I think I
I
have them 24 on my rankings. But
I
like,
I was
if you're
close.
gonna keep Notre Dame up there at 12,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
Notre Dame's big win? USC
Yep,
at home.
yep.
What's Illinois' big win?
USC.
USC at home. I'm
Yep,
not saying they should be ranked 13th. Still
yeah,
24, 25.
yeah.
But I also have Iowa and them in there. So let's just go ahead and get to the our top 25s then.
Okay.
So that way I don't have to keep talking about it. But here's my top 25. I have Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Oregon at number 4. I still Bleav in Oregon. Alabama, Georgia, Georgia Tech at number 7, followed by Miami, BYU, Notre Dame at 10, and then Vanderbilt at 11, followed by Ole Miss, Michigan, Iowa, USC, Texas Tech, Louisville, Houston, Washington, Cincinnati, Utah, Virginia, Navy, Illinois, Nebraska. I know I'm going to get crap for having Michigan over USC still, and that's fine. I'll take that. But I think Iowa needs to be a top 15 team at this
Yep,
point.
yep.
They've shown it. I do not have Missouri or Tennessee ranked. I don't get why they need to be ranked. If we're going to play the whole record game, I think that we need to include Navy. They're undefeated right now. And Pitt probably also need to be considered as well. I think you could put Pitt in over Nebraska, possibly. I did not do that, but if somebody wanted to do that, I think you could. I think you probably put Pitt as high as 21st, maybe. I don't know if I'd put him over Utah. 22nd. I think you put it Pitt as high as 22nd, possibly. But I would put Pitt in before I put Tennessee or Missouri. They just haven't beat anybody, and they've not
Yeah.
looked super impressive.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
not.
they were
They have
close
not
against
been good.
Georgia, sure, but
Georgia's not great.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like, you look at all these teams, it's like,
it's the brand name more than anything. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, any disagreements with my top 25 here?
Can you help me understand Michigan over USC? I'm not going to flame you for it, but help me understand that.
I think Michigan's a more reliable team. I think they had a tough game on the road, and that sucks, but I think pretty much every team has a tough game on the road. Iowa had a tough game on the road against Iowa State. USC had 2 tough games on the road against Illinois and Notre Dame. Washington had a tough game on the road against Michigan. Illinois had a tough game on the road against Washington.
Yep.
Cincinnati had a tough game, not at home, wasn't on the road, but not at home against Nebraska.
Yep.
Okay.
I
think
I'm okay with it. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think people take those losses sometimes and project them way too highly. And if it's a blowout loss, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that team sucks. But I think a team that gets the blowout should get more credit than the team who takes the blowout. Not that they shouldn't be punished for it. I can see that. But just because a team got blown out doesn't mean that's like who that team is for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It was a bad game. They had some injuries maybe. But what have they done after that? Do they continue to show that? Do they continue to display that? I would argue Michigan has not shown or displayed anything since that USC game that we saw in that game.
Gotcha.
So, that's just me.
That's fair.
Anything else before we move on to yours?
No, we can move.
Trying to see if anybody has any. Dr. Detroit doesn't like that I have Oregon at 4. I mean, if Dante Moore is hurt, then I might move him, but I just don't Bleav in Alabama or Georgia all that much. And I don't think Alabama gets punished enough for losing to Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Oregon lost to Indiana. It's a way better loss than Florida State. Here's your Zach.
So I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but I redid how I was thinking about it. This is the first time. So I wasn't here last week. This is the first time that I've reset my top 25 since week 1. And I just decided all the Power 5 undefeateds are going in the top 5 slots. I was just like, if you're undefeated at this point in the season, I've got you there. So I have Indiana 1, Ohio State 2, Texas A&M 3, BYU 4, Georgia Tech 5. Then I went to 1-loss teams for the most part. I have Miami 6, Notre Dame 7. They're 2 losses, but their 2 losses, they really should have beat Texas A&M. And they lost by 3 to Miami. And I think both teams are really good. And they beat a really good USC team by 10 points. And they crushed, whereas a lot of SEC mid teams are struggling with Arkansas. Notre Dame did not. Throttled them. So I've got them at 7. Oregon at 8. Alabama 9. Georgia 10. Part of the reason why I have Notre Dame 7 too is I have questions about Oregon, Alabama, and Georgia. And I have serious questions about Georgia. Texas Tech 11. Ole Miss 12, Louisville 13. I don't understand how Louisville is below Virginia in the poll because Louisville beat a good Miami team. Virginia beat a crap Florida State team. I don't understand that. So
Yeah.
Louisville's
I had Virginia 22nd. I don't see the reason for having them as high as people have them.
Yeah. Vandy at 14. Really considered putting them below Iowa, but because they only have the 1 loss, I have Vandy at 14, Iowa 15, USC 16, Texas 17, Oklahoma 18, Michigan 19, Virginia 20, Washington 21, Nebraska 22, Tennessee 23, Cincinnati 24, Houston 25.
All right. Good stuff.
Oh,
I will say, go ahead.
I didn't realize this. Virginia beat Louisville. That's I missed that on the that would have changed my ranking. So good call, Mr. Bucknuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, thank you for that. My only thing is if you're gonna have Notre Dame that high, I think you need to have Illinois in there. I'd put Illinois where Tennessee is.
Yeah, I had a hard time figuring out where to place Illinois. My only pushback on that is like Notre Dame lost by 3 points to each. Or was it 3 points or did they lose by 2 to Texas A&M?
They lost by 3 to Texas A&M at home.
Yeah. Illinois got crushed by Indiana. Really was never in it against Ohio State. And then just got their doors blown off. Well, I wouldn't say doors got blown off, but they got beat pretty handily by Washington. So it was
a 10-point game in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say handily. They got beat. Washington beat them, but it wasn't handily.
I just think if you're gonna have a 5-3 team in there, this is my thought. I'm not saying I'm right. I think if you're gonna have a 5-3 team in, those losses need to be closer. So that's what ultimately led me not having them.
And I can accept that, but then I would also say, why does Texas A&M not get dinged for having close wins against bad SEC teams? And I'm not necessarily just questioning you. I'm just trying to look at it all, right? Like that's the thing I want more than anything else is I want consistency. Even if you have Vanderbilt at 3, okay, what is your reasoning for having Vanderbilt at 3? Is it consistent with everything else that's going on in your poll? Yeah. That's what I want. Like somebody could come out here and have Louisville at number 1, but if they're consistent, I don't agree with it, but I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm not saying you have Louisville at 1.
No. Well, and Texas, as I say, like Texas A&M, I think should absolutely be in the top 3. Like I don't think there's.
That's fine. I have them in my top 3 as well.
Yeah, but like I think if you're going to start making claims that Texas A&M should be 1 or 2 based on their resume, I'm like, well, okay, like they do have a better strength of schedule according to Sagarin. They have more quote unquote ranked wins. They have not they have been fairly inconsistent, like in their game control. Ohio State and Indiana have not.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think it's hard to put Texas A&M above those two teams unless if they have been dominant, and they have not been dominant this season.
Mm-hmm. All right, I like it. Let's move on. College football playoff predictions.
All right.
Here's mine. Switch mine up a little bit. Ohio State still at 1, Indiana still at 2. I know there's kind of a trend right now of putting Indiana at 3 or 4. I don't remember if you did that or not, Zach. My only question is, what win does Alabama or Texas A&M get at the end of the season that jumps them over them? Like, I think Texas A&M plays Missouri. I don't think Missouri is a good enough win personally to jump them over Indiana. I guess maybe the rankings think they will, but
I just think whoever loses the Big Ten championship game might get dinged a little for not being a conference.
And we don't know that until it happens, right?
Yeah.
I'm going based off of what happened last season, which is you didn't get moved.
Yeah.
But you could. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I have Alabama at number 3, Texas A&M at number 4. I have Georgia number 5. Again, this is not the way I would do it. This is me predicting the way they will do it.
Yep.
You know, heaven forbid I have 3 teams in the top 5, 3 SEC teams in the top 5. Oregon number 6, number 7 Miami, number 8 Ole Miss, number 9 BYU. I think BYU right now is looking really, really good. Vanderbilt number 10, Georgia Tech number 11. I think Georgia Tech loses to somebody at some point during the season. It gives Miami the chance to get to the ACC championship game. And then finally, Navy I have as the final team. I think they're just going to keep winning to get there at number 12.
I think Navy plays Notre Dame. That's what they're has to play Notre Dame, North Texas, Memphis, and USF in the next 4 games.
Mm-hmm. And even if they lose to Notre Dame, I think they beat North Texas, and I think they beat Memphis.
Yeah.
And
Interessante.
That gets them the highest ranked Group of 5 champion.
That would for sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yours. Here you go.
All right. So I do have Memphis in the 12 seed. I'll go from 12 to 1 because I think my lower seeds might be more interesting. So 12, I have Memphis. So I think Memphis is going to beat Navy. I have Oregon at 11 because I think Iowa's going to beat Oregon, and I think Iowa's going to run the table, and they're going to get the 10 seed. Ole Miss at 9.
You could make an argument for Iowa would be higher if they run the table, beating at USC, at Nebraska. I mean, I guess it would depend on how much the College Football Playoff Committee thinks of those teams, but
I was gonna say it's they're still gonna have a SEC bias. I don't buy it.
That's true. Good point.
So Iowa, it'd be nice if they did, but I've got Iowa 10.
Would. Yeah.
Ole Miss at 9. Ole Miss would be traveling to Notre Dame, the 8 seed. Iowa would be traveling to Texas Tech as the 7 seed, who I think is still going to win the Big 12, and I think the Big 12 is ultimately going to be a one bid league. I've got Oregon traveling to Athens, Georgia, playing the Bulldogs at 6, and Memphis going to Hard Rock in Miami, playing Miami at 5. And then my buys, Alabama at 4, Indiana at 3, Texas A&M at 2, Ohio State at 1.
All right. So you have Indiana getting knocked out after the Big Ten championship game?
Yeah, I think, especially if Texas A&M is undefeated and wins the SEC championship game, I think that will give the committee incentive to put the top 2 conference champs who are undefeated in the 1 and 2 spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Going through this exercise every single week has been really interesting to do, and it's really helped my kind of putting together all of college football and everything. It's been really interesting. So.
Yeah.
Austin says we're pretty confident that OSU goes into Michigan and wins. No, I mean we're kind of the same. this is kind of our thing, right? Where it's like we're not going to pick Ohio State to win. I guess you could argue we're picking them to win here, but this is kind of what we're saying should happen, right? It's kind of a difference that Zach and I have between what we would pick to happen and what we think should happen. Ohio State should beat Michigan this season, especially with the way they've looked so far. But when it comes to that game, I can tell you right now, unless something just catastrophic happens with Michigan, and even then, I don't know. I'm not picking Ohio State to win that game.
Something catastrophic happened to Michigan last year. It was called their quarterback situation.
Well,
didn't matter,
and they still won. So
yeah, didn't matter. They still won. Michigan fans were in the chat reminding us of that earlier tonight. So we remember. We remember.
I mean, if Ohio State loses that game, Michigan is probably in at 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State probably falls to
like the 3 or 4 seed.
No, lower.
You think they would host a playoff game?
Yeah, they'll host a playoff game. I would say 6, probably 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I think they lose they don't play in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
I don't think, because Michigan has a head-to-head over them.
Yeah,
and they only have 1 Big Ten loss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Michigan would probably be 10 or 11. Ohio State would probably be 5. And you'd probably see whatever team was there, Miami, Georgia, Indiana, Alabama, Texas A&M. So you could have 3 SEC teams with a bye.
If Ohio State is a 6 and Michigan would get the 11 seed, they'd rematch in the first round.
They wouldn't do that, though. They pick matchups.
That's true. That's true.
All this fancy seed and stuff. You see a team randomly move 1 seed in a bye. It's like, yeah, okay, we knew what you were doing there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Alabama moved up 1 for beating an FCS team. Okay, we knew what you did there. So, all right. Good episode. Appreciate everybody. Whoops. That was weird. What did I do there? Appreciate everybody being here. Zach, anything you want to get to before we get out of here?
No, just thankful for you guys. Yeah, and again, make sure go check out our podcast with Doug. Definitely check out our man Jeff. We are grateful for you guys and for all that you do to support us. So thank you.
And I will say really quick, because I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I forgot to bring it up. On FanDuel, Indiana has better odds to win the national championship now than Alabama. Plus 600, Alabama at plus 750.
As it should be.
So, Alabama fans can chirp all they want. At the end of the day, people believe more in the Hoosiers than they do the Crimson Tide.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's as they should. As they should. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.